light is just the worst. That'll have to do. I'm Colin. I live in northern BC, Canada. This is my garage, and it's here that I'll be building a guitar for the Great Guitar Build-Off 2021.
This guitar will be an acoustic Parlor guitar. I just think Parlor guitars are so weird looking. Their proportions are all kind of funny, and they're a little bit too small, and the sound hole is too big. They're just so weird. I like them a lot. For this guitar, I'm going to be using woods that are native to BC. That means I'll be using poplar and fir for the neck, maple for the fretboard and bridge, maple and fir for the binding and purfling, and spruce for the top, and then denim pine for the sides. Oh, and birch too. Here I'm cutting the lumber into the planks that will be the sides and the top of the guitar, and the back. I actually had to recut a lot of these planks because of grain run out. The lumber I'm using for the top especially is nicely quarter sawn, but I didn't realize the grain really came off at a funny angle. So even though it looked good, the pieces didn't have any strength at all to them, so I had to recut.
These will be here at this, on top here. This is what I'm going to use for the sides of the guitar. This is some denim pine from basically just a 2x6 that I bought. This is birch. I'm going to laminate the sides and the back of this guitar. If I were to just use pine, pine is soft, and I'm worried that, first of all, with a steel string guitar, I'm not sure just pine on the sides would be strong enough anyway. But if you were to take a pine-sided guitar and bump it against a table or an edge, it might puncture too easily. So I'm going to laminate the sides with some birch to add some stiffness and some strength. Underneath this, we have the back of the guitar. You can just see the outline I've put on it. The outline, these knots will be outside of the guitar when it's done. But I like the patterning in here. This will be laminated too. Then underneath, the top of the guitar. So this might raise some eyebrows. I wanted to accentuate the sort of the pine, the fact that it's a pine guitar, although I'm pretty sure this is spruce actually. But I wanted to accentuate the sort of rustic look and feel of the guitar. So I wanted these knots in here. I was thinking of doing the whole top like this, but where these knots are, and to get them to look nice and round like this is right on the flat sawn section of the board. And so there's not a lot of strength there. I don't know how it would sound. So what I've done is, as the board moves over here, this is nicely quarter sawn, and it kind of comes up on the center of the log here where it's flat sawn. By keeping these knots on the side of the top, I think I can compromise. I can have this look with these knots, but not give up too much strength, especially with the bridge. The bridge is going to be in the middle here, and this is nicely quarter sawn spruce. So I think I found a sort of balance. I'm happy with it anyway. We're going to see. So next step here is to joint the edges of these boards for the back and sides, or at the top and the back, and glue them together.
I've built one other guitar and also a ukulele, and for both those instruments I use this method of using tape to hold the pieces together for the top and back when I glued them, and it really worked well. Here's my design for the guitar. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of making this plan. Basically what I did though is I looked at an awful lot of pictures of Parlor guitars online to figure out what I liked and what I didn't like about them. A lot of Parlor guitars are very square shouldered and flat on the bottom as well. Kind of like an OM guitar, or some OMs anyway. I'm not a big fan of that look. I like more of a rounded shoulder. So what I did is I took, I found a guitar that was pretty close to what I wanted, and I uploaded it into Sketchbook, Autodesk Sketchbook. And using that program, I drew around, I kind of sketched the outline of that picture. And then once I had the sketch, I could modify the curves and change, make the shoulders round, make the bottom more round. I enlarged the lower bout a little bit, I changed the waist. I kind of changed everything. But at least I had somewhere to start. Once I had figured out the shape of the body and had it just the way I wanted, I printed it off half scale. And on that drawing, I drew in by hand the location of all the braces and measurements and any details I would need in the final plan. And then once I had that done, I scanned that back into the computer and printed it off at full scale. And that's what this is. And then this is my template. That's what I used to make the template. I've never made a Parlor guitar before, and that means I don't have a guitar mold. So that will be the next step, making the mold. I'm using MDF to make the guitar mold, and I find I don't really like using it because it's just so hard on tools. I had to replace the bandsaw blade here as soon as it was done cutting all these pieces out. It just wouldn't cut anymore. Here I'm routing all the mold pieces to ensure that they're all exactly the same.
finished making the mold for the guitar. This will be an outside mold for the sides of the guitar as I assemble it. I also made an inside mold. And what this is used for, what I'm going to do with this is use it as a clamping jig when I laminate the sides. I'm going to bend the sides freehand. I'll show you that later. But once I have the sides bent, I'll laminate the pine and the birch side pieces between these two. Just clamp them tight. They fit really, really perfectly together.
Spoiler alert for later, this method of clamping to laminate the sides didn't work at all.
Now, for the clamping jig, this has to be wider than the width of the guitar so that it clamps evenly. But when I have the regular outside mold together, like so, like this, well now, I mean, you know, this side is thicker. So what I've done, and I got this idea from a YouTube video. There. And now it's the same thickness all around. This needs to be thinner than the width of the guitar so that you can sand the sides of the guitar on a radius dish. So now I have an outside mold for assembling the guitar and a clamp, and I didn't have to make an entire separate, you know, outside section for the clamp. I can just attach these outer pieces. 2 tools in 1.
Here we see the finished guitar mold and the prepared wood for the sides and the top and the back. And we're ready for the next step. See you in the next video.